Controversial broadcaster and YouTuber Alex Belfield is expected to be released from prison around June of 2025 after serving part of a 5.5-year sentence for stalking. His case has divided public opinion, with some viewing him as a champion of free speech targeted by the establishment, while others regard him as a serial harasser whose conduct caused genuine distress to multiple victims. Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. Today, we look at UK media personality Alex Belfield, his career, and the controversial charges that landed him behind bars. Is Belfield a genuine free speech advocate who was, in his own words, the victim of a BBC and police witch hunt? Or is he simply a mouthpiece for hateful, damaging discourse? Let's find out. Belfield, a former BBC radio presenter, built a significant following online through his channel, The Voice of Reason, where he often delivered biting, unapologetic commentary on politics, media figures, and what he saw as social hypocrisy. His style, likened by many to that of Katie Hopkins, was direct, often harsh, and deliberately provocative. While this approach won him fans who appreciated his no-holds-barred honesty, it also drew fierce criticism. So what were the charges against Alex Belfield? In 2022, Belfield was convicted of stalking 4 individuals between 2012 and 2021. The court heard that he targeted 8 people in total, including fellow broadcasters, with persistent and distressing online communications, though he was only found guilty in relation to half of them. Among those he was convicted of stalking was BBC presenter Jeremy Vine. During the trial, Vine described Belfield's campaign against him as the worst abuse I've ever received, comparing it to a tsunami of hate. Vine alleged that Belfield not only targeted him with relentless videos and online posts, but also shared his address publicly, known as doxing, sparking serious concerns for the safety of his family. Stalking in the legal context extends beyond physically following someone. It includes repeated, unwanted communications, whether online or offline, that cause fear, anxiety, or distress. In Belfield's case, the court found that his actions amounted to a sustained campaign of harassment that left his victims feeling unsafe. Belfield's supporters, however, see things differently. They argue that he was punished not for any violent behaviour, but for speaking out too loudly and too often against public figures and institutions. To them, his case exemplifies how the line between free speech and criminal behaviour has become dangerously blurred in recent years. Many who followed Belfield prior to his imprisonment admired him for saying things others wouldn't dare to. His broadcasts, often laced with sarcasm and outrage, resonated with viewers who felt let down by mainstream media and political correctness. As one observer put it, he was absolutely ruthless, just like Katie Hopkins. Sometimes he said what people were thinking in a brutal way, but shouldn't we be allowed to do that? Still, others view Belfield as someone who used his platform irresponsibly, weaponizing it to attack individuals with little regard for the personal consequences they might face. Katie Hopkins, another polarizing figure in British media, is expected to publicly support Belfield following his release. Known for her own history of controversial statements, Hopkins has previously suffered legal defeats and financial ruin at the hands of the UK's legal system, leading some to draw parallels between her and Belfield. Like him, she has been accused of going too far in the name of blunt honesty. Hopkins has been vocal about censorship and cancel culture, arguing that unpopular opinions should not be criminalised. With Belfield's return, the two may share a platform, possibly on stage or online, to discuss their experiences and perspectives. Hopkins reportedly plans to involve Belfield in her public events, signalling a potential partnership that could reignite both their followings. That is the bigger picture here. Both careers need a boost. and teaming up does that. Belfield's case has become part of a wider conversation about the British justice system, particularly the perception that sentencing is inconsistent and influenced by political or media interests. Many critics argue that non-violent offenders like Belfield receive harsher sentences than individuals convicted of far more serious crimes. A commonly cited example includes individuals convicted of online speech receiving multiple-year prison terms, while others found guilty of sexual offences involving minors receive more lenient treatment. A widely shared social media post highlighted these discrepancies. A man imprisoned for 18 months over a Facebook post, another serving 2 years for allegedly racist stickers, and yet a third accused of a serious offence against a minor receiving no prison time at all. This perceived imbalance has fueled a narrative that the judiciary acts with bias, especially in high-profile or politically sensitive cases. Critics argue that some judges are self-righteous or influenced by public opinion and media pressure, rather than strict legal principles. In their view, justice is no longer blind, but increasingly selective. Another story adding to the debate involves the son of someone who followed Belfield's case closely. The young man, reportedly on the autism spectrum, was convicted of online stalking. Despite pleading guilty and having no history of violence or sexual threats, he received a 9-year prison sentence. A shocking outcome for his family and supporters. His legal team had expected a significantly shorter sentence, especially given his diagnosis and cooperation with authorities. His mother, devastated by the outcome, now hopes to help him rebuild his life upon release. The judge in that case had previously allowed individuals accused of far more serious crimes to walk free, further deepening frustrations about inconsistency in sentencing. While acknowledging that stalking and trolling can be harmful, critics of this outcome point to the role of mental health and neurodiversity, suggesting that courts should show more understanding in such cases. So what comes next for Belfield? As Alex Belfield prepares for life after prison, questions remain about what restrictions he may face under license. Like other ex-offenders, he could be limited in what he's allowed to say or do publicly, especially concerning the individuals named in his conviction. Conditions might include bans on using certain platforms, contacting victims, or discussing specific topics. His return to YouTube, if permitted, would no doubt attract attention, both from supporters and critics. Will he remain as brash and combative as before, or will prison have tempered his approach? Will he frame his imprisonment as martyrdom for free speech, or offer a more reflective perspective on the boundaries of online commentary? In a media landscape increasingly shaped by outrage, cancel culture, and polarized politics, Belfield's re-emergence could reignite debates about the limits of expression in the digital age. If we look at similar figures in the media, it would be no surprise if Belfield comes out fighting, with an even more combative approach, in the style of Alex Jones in InfoWars. Whether he returns to prominence or fades from public view, his story serves as a lightning rod for discussion about speech, justice, and accountability in modern Britain. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you for joining us today on Crime Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends.